Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Meet the Contractor. We're very favoured today to have Jamie with us from Paramount Interiors.
Good to be here.
Good to have you, Jamie. Could you introduce yourself, your company, and tell us a bit about its history?
Yep, I'm Jamie Graham. I'm the Fire Protection Manager for Paramount Interiors. I've worked for Paramount for 12 years this year. We're primarily a dry lining company. Going back 3 or 4 years ago, I sat down with my boss and we was looking at different avenues we could sort of go off into to expand, and fire protection was one that come up. So I went away and took sort of 12 months trying to learn the industry, see what it's about, and just sort of fell in love with it as such from there. When I joined, I was the labourer. We had Rich, who was the MD, he was on the tools. We had Ryan, who is now our operations manager. He was on the tools.
Okay.
And then we had Mark, who is now one of our site managers. He was apprentice stroke labourer. So yeah, we've been a tight-knit sort of family from the start, and we've sort of progressed through all together. We've loaded up 100 boards a day and
Wow.
and moved on up from there.
Good. What type of projects do you normally work on?
So we're primarily commercial. We do a little bit of residential as well, but yeah, primarily sort of large scale commercial projects.
Okay. And that's a mix of new and existing, is it?
Yes, mix of new and existing. One recently we are looking to get into is public sector work.
What would on the fire stopping side of things, what would set you guys apart, perhaps from others?
I'd say Paramount in general. So I first come on right at the start of Paramount, and there was just there was our MD, and then three of us. He was on the tools himself, and the ethos has always been a very family orientated sort of vibe, and I think that speaks wonders, especially where we have the dry lining side, the dry lining division and the fire stopping division. We're still one team. We've trained up some of the dry liners for projects where there is a little bit of fire stopping mist, waiting for ceiling closures. They can jump on and they know how to use the coil selector, find standard details and install them properly.
So it all sort of gels together as a good package, I mean.
Yeah, 100%. I think, like you say, a lot of people are starting to do it. We've always, as we've grown, we've tried to do it at a sensible rate. We don't give ourselves too much work and then we have to flood it with, we have to outsource labor, and you don't know who you're getting in. We've had to do it on a few projects, and it's very stressful. Ultimately, you're having to get people to redo their work. So we build from within out. Other companies might not want to work like this, but we don't have any price work with the fire stopping. I like everybody to be day rate employed. It doesn't matter how much they're installing to an extent. It's all about that compliancy and understanding what you're installing it to that, but most importantly, it's the passion to actually want to do that. It's easy to say, yes, I'll follow this drawing and I'll install it. But if you don't really actually want to install it like that, you're just doing it because you're told that's what you're supposed to do. I believe that's when corners can easily get cut. So yeah, we try to build from the inside out, very family orientated, and
that's good. And get it done right, clearly. I mean, that's what you've done today is this training, which is all about competency, isn't it? And I really like what you said about making sure that it is installed correctly and using guys who are doing this every day. You can't really substitute their experience, can you? And that's for managers like yourself to know that you've got the guys on the ground who know what they're doing is a massive peace of mind for you, really.
Yep, 100%. When we have newcomers coming on, I've got a sort of a time scale as such for individuals' progression. It can change from individual to individual. Some get it a bit quicker, some don't. But yeah, we make sure they work under an experienced supervisor for a certain amount of time. We thoroughly check their work. We carry out destructive tests on the new guys ourselves. That's all internally, because
Almost self-auditing.
yeah, 100%. But I think you have to, like you said there. It's especially in the fire industry now. It can be scary, and I'm sure there's a lot of other sort of fire protection managers in my role. It can be terrifying, and you can get into your own head, and you think, oh, the one smallest thing that could come back to bite you if anything ever did go wrong.
And taking it seriously, which is what you guys do.
100%.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yep, 100%.
Obviously, you've worked in the construction industry for a while now.
Yep, I've been 12 years,
12
I think.
years.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you enjoy most out of interest about working in construction?
So if I'm honest, I started as a dry liner. I started as a labourer, apprentice dry liner. Coming into the fire protection, it was a little avenue that I had with my boss that we wanted to explore. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But my favourite part of things is it's the early engagement side of things from my side. I love getting all these different services sort of thrown at me, and it's sort of puzzle trying to find them details. Oh no, this is 3.6 millimeters pipe wall thickness, not 3.8, and it's all those little intricate bits. That's my favorite part is doing the legwork. You've got the install, and that's the big bit.
Sure, yeah.
Look at my nice pretty bat, all installed correctly. But I love the
detail.
Yeah.
And that detail is so important, isn't it? Getting that correct and accurate. So having someone like you actually with that mindset is a massive bonus for Paramount. What positive changes would you say are happening currently in the industry?
It's hard to think anything other than early engagement, if I'm honest, because fundamentally with the fire stopping, that's where it's at. That's what needs to happen. Obviously, it's a massive positive change when it is being implemented. Myself, we've got mixed experiences at the minute. When it's happening, it's amazing, and yeah, everything you say happens. You don't come across the problems. It's time effective. It's not costly.
I'd agree. On early engagement, it is definitely a very positive change and a very needed change. And it is what I always say to customers is it is a slow burn. Excuse the pun, but the change is very needed, as you say. And with some, it is starting to work.
Yeah.
With on some projects.
Yeah.
You go to some projects and you're seeing that early engagement's actually happening, and it's so refreshing.
Yeah.
Those service runs are going in place, with the fire stopping in mind, the design of the fire stopping, which is fantastic.
100%. Something that I'm finding, this is our personal experience, on the bigger projects we're getting, when your contract managers, your project managers are more involved and you have multiple of them, I find that early engagement is happening. What we're struggling with at the minute, it's smaller projects, and refurbs is a massive one. And even more so, refurbs, maybe not even more so, but you're going to come across a hell of a lot of problems in a refurb. And it's very much just, you're thrown in there, here's the services that are there, what can you do with it? And it's very much forgotten, especially with refurb as well. You're not aware of the pipe wall thickness of a service that's been installed. You don't know the density of the lagging that's been installed. All in all, I think it's the depth. I think at the minute, what I'm finding is that early engagement's been fed in at the high end of the companies, and it's definitely working. But it's the ones as you go down where maybe it's a project manager looking after 3 or 4 of them projects, it's getting it down to everybody involved, and M&E, another story.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Refurbs have always been a bit of a difficult one because exactly what you say, everything that's existing is difficult to work with. But of course, on early engagements, that's disseminating the information further down the chain is so important because actually early engagement won't work unless you disseminate that information further down. It needs to flow down through the lower tiers, if you like, for it to then actually become successful. I agree. It's great. It's happening, starting to happen, but it needs, in every case, we often find it needs someone to be taking ownership of the whole process.
Yeah.
To making sure all those stages are managed and are happening.
It's almost a new job role in itself.
It is.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Do you have, out of interest, any recent projects or things you worked on that of note that you'd like to discuss?
So recently we've completed one of our, we've only been fire stopping 3 years, but recently we've completed one of our largest projects. It was a multi-million-pound extension on a pharmaceutical laboratory. And yeah, I could get into depths of it, but it was a very challenging project. As you can imagine, with pharmaceutical, it was many services, also services in different layers as such. You had your real high level and then all your ductwork underneath. So it happened in stages. At the start, it was the early engagement wasn't there as early as it should have been, but we got there in the end. And yeah, it was an amazing project to work on. And ultimately, they had many thousands of fire stopping seals.
Wow. Which
ultimately were all compliant and certified.
Wow, that is fantastic.
Ultimately, it needs to be done right, and that's what we pride ourselves on. And trying to find the guys that will actually do that is a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, that's one thing I've picked up a lot is trying to find the right staff. People who are, as you say, who are happy to get out of bed in the morning because they want to take pride in what they do. I know it sounds a bit perhaps, what's the word, hypothetical, but you know, getting out of bed in the morning because you're there to save a life.
Yeah.
You know, every seal you do, you're saving a life potentially.
Yeah, you say this as well, and you almost get a bit of a laugh when you state it, but ultimately it is. And yeah, it is a little bit frustrating when people then have their comments like, oh yeah, you're a doctor saving lives, but we're not saying that, but ultimately it is a life-saving process of protecting these buildings.
It is a bit different in a way to laying bricks, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%.
It does revolve around safety and saving properties and lives, etc. Which is, I understand people are probably driven by money as well.
Yeah.
But to find people who aren't only money driven, as you say, it's not very easy nowadays.
No, it is difficult.
So it is a challenge. I get that.
Yeah.
Good. How do you ensure compliance to the latest fire regulations for projects?
We first and foremost, we're FireS accredited. We undertake these training sessions with the likes of yourselves. The dry liners do similar. We install cavity barriers. And no matter what we're installing, we ensure we undertake the product training and get the qualifications and the competency that you need.
Good. That's good. And the training is important, very important. I had someone just the other day who's can't understand why their team needs to do the training. You know, but as I said to them in that case, well, you don't want to go out and install product you haven't been trained to install. If you do it wrong, all you have to do is take it out again, which is, of course, false economy, and costly, etc. So, yeah, training is very, very important, and in a certain sense, you can't put too much value on training.
No, not at all. And like I've previously stated, it's that passion of wanting that training, and I think people get very caught up. They say, "Oh, here you go. I'm level 3 passive fire protection. I have my triple STS." They can rattle off all their qualifications, but ultimately, it is like we have been saying, that person needs to want to install it correctly, not because they're getting paid to do it, not because it's what they're getting told to do. I think that is a big one at the minute. It's one thing as well is anybody thinks they can be a fire stopper. I think the training sessions that we have with manufacturers, with the likes of yourselves, they are a lot more beneficial than getting your qualification. I find the qualification is very easy to get, and I think that is something that the industry does need to work on, because even some of my guys, they've got their qualifications, but the process they went through, literally, you really could
quite easy.
Yeah, 100%, and it's quite wrong, really. It's the process they went through. I genuinely believe somebody could have seen a fire bat a week ago, and they could pass and get this qualification. And like you say, when you're then going out to outsource labor, you don't know. You might have somebody who picked up this profession 2 weeks ago.
So you're suggesting it should be a lot more rigorous, really?
I think so, 100%. Yeah. I know we're talking different ends of the scale, but let's take a psychologist, for example. They have to go through years of training. They'll pick it up at a college stage. They will have to do a degree. Like we were saying, the fire stopping, ultimately it saves lives. So why can somebody pass a qualification to become a qualified fire stopper in the space of 2, 3, 4 weeks? Yeah, it seems ludicrous.
Yeah, interesting. You probably answered one of my next questions was, what do you think are some of the misconceptions around fire stopping?
Yeah, so yeah, that, and I'm sure every fire stopping firm has it, where you turn up on site and you are just expected to be able to chuck a little bat up there, put a little bit of mastic in there, and
bats and mastic.
Yeah, it still baffles me that is a very still a lot of people are going down that route, and that's what they're thinking. And I think it's the main contractors do need to be taking some ownership on who they are employing, because over the last 3 years, I feel like we've possibly not won work, or we've struggled to get some projects because we seem awkward. But we come in at an early stage, I pick out the bits that aren't going to work, say, look, you're going to need something for this, you're going to need to reroute this, and then you still hear of it. There's some firms that aren't even accredited, they have no certification. And I just don't understand how firms like that are still winning fire stopping works, because it's unfair for us companies that are trying to do it the right way. We do a good job, and then you've got people that can just undercut you. And ultimately, it does come down to the main contractor. You're getting a product that is not certified. And I think quite a lot of the time, they don't actually fully understand that. The main contractors, or there's more fire safety inspection firms becoming involved, fire auditing. I think that is a must, or construction firms need to be either educating their employees to a standard where they can say, oh no, actually you can't install that because it's not compliant, rather than putting it upon the subcontractor, the fire protection contractor themselves, because unfortunately there are people out there who will install anything.
Yes, yeah.
They will hide it in the small print, and they're still getting away with it.
I think you're right. Main contractors I agree, there are still some out there who don't really give enough due attention to the fire stopping. But there's quite a few nowadays, tier 1 I should say,
Yes,
who are paying more attention to it
100%.
and are insisting on their competence.
Yes, yeah.
So insisting on the fire stopping contractor being third party accredited, and the individual staff being trained, etc., which is really good. But I do agree that yes, there are still some out there who this is almost just a bit of a secondary thing that just has to be done.
Yeah.
Just to tick a box, if you like. And those are really the ones that are quite scary, if you like.
Yep, 100%.
That is still happening, even following something like Grenfell, if you know what I mean.
Yep, 100%.
So there is still change that has to happen.
Yes.
I agree.
I love nothing more than turning up on a site and being able to actually have a conversation with site manager, project manager, whoever it may be, and they can actually challenge me as well about the fire stopping and about what details are going to be used, rather than it just, I say, oh, we can do this. Obviously, I come back, I check with Quelfire of anything I'm not certain with, but I like it when somebody will challenge me rather than just coming in and saying, oh yeah, look, I can do this. And it's that, it gives you the confidence that actually you are doing it right, because if you just go through and you're never questioned,
yeah.
So when people, you can slip, you can get comfortable, you can make mistakes. So I think having people with that knowledge above you or for the main contractor, it's a massive positive.
Yeah, and that shows they're taking it seriously, which is fantastic.
Yep.
What advice out of interest would you give to anyone who's thinking of coming into the industry?
Use Quelfire. Honestly,
Thank you.
So the first time I found you guys, like I say, I was very new to it. I came to the London Build Show, and I hadn't heard of fire stopping yet. I went round all the manufacturers, and you guys were kind of, I met Alec there, and it was kind of almost like Quelfire were the big brother, took me under their wing. And but yeah, I'd advise that. Don't think it's just because you're installing Firebat and you're installing mastic, don't think it's an easy job. Don't think you know how to do it, because you don't. We're all learning. I learn something new literally on a daily basis. Every email I send to Quelfire, I get something back that I've learned from it.
Every day is a school day.
Yeah, 100%. And it's nothing against any other manufacturers, but I've said it to others in the past. I've had sort of people approaching us, wanting to work with us, and I've said ultimately, Quelfire, I just have the utmost confidence that we are going to install what we need to install. And I think you guys are, I get that family vibe as well from Quelfire. You're always there to help. Likewise with, if you don't have a detail, you will let me know.
We'll tell you.
Yeah, you do not have a detail. But as well, you'll also offer advice. You'll say, all right, we don't have a detail. There's a possibility a fire engineer could look at this. You could do this. It's nice to know, no, we don't have a detail. I'm not worried.
Yeah.
And you're sort of brushed off.
Yeah, good. You happy that you, or should I say, you satisfied that you'll always get the correct answers from us, which is good.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Yeah, trust that continues. I'm sure it will.
Yep.
And it probably really leads me on to my next question: is in other ways, perhaps, how do Quelfire support you on your projects?
It is that confidence, if I'm honest. You guys state that you get back within 24 hours technical. I don't think I've been past 3 hours. and I've sent hundreds of emails to you guys. I've had phone calls. If sometimes it's hard to explain over an email, I've had phone calls, and I've never had to go and look elsewhere for another manufacturer to see if they've got a detail, because I've not had a response from you, or I've felt as if you haven't helped me.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. No, we'd be very happy. We're very happy to work with you, and it's good to know, get to get that feedback from you.
Yep.
Find that everything's technical working, and the details. I mean, we have got such a breadth of tested solutions, and I think that's what probably sets us apart in the market, really, is having that large library of tested solutions out there. I think I said on the training as well, that's why we do constant testing. You know, we test every month if we can, just to try and increase that library of tested solutions available to the industry.
Yep.
Because there is a crying need for more and more solutions to be made available to people like yourself.
100%.
So yeah, thank you for working with us, and thank you very much for listening to a further episode of Meet the Contractor.